Obsessive compulsive disorder is a mental health disorder. Symptoms of obsessions and compulsions define it, but the main theme of OCD can vary between individuals. When obsessions and compulsions center on experiencing or causing harm, it's often called harm OCD. Harm OCD isn't a diagnosis separate from OCD. Harm OCD is still OCD, but with a theme of obsessions and compulsions about harm to yourself or others. Harm OCD shares the same core symptoms of obsession and compulsion as other manifestations of OCD. Obsessions are persistent thoughts or urges. Compulsions are ritualistic mental actions or repetitive behaviors in response to an obsession. They help relieve negative emotions like fear or anxiety and adhere to a rigid, like needing to perform an action a specific number of times. It's possible to live with harm OCD and experience obsessions and compulsions with other OCD themes, such as cleaning and fear of contamination. Obsessions and compulsions are the primary features of harm OCD, but you may notice other symptoms, including anxiety, panic attacks, extreme guilt, negative thoughts of self, need for constant reassurance, a sense of unease in places where things don't look or feel just right, avoidance of situations related to triggers, social withdrawal. Some people living with OCD also live with a tic disorder, a condition of uncontrollable brief moments of motor or vocal expression. Any obsessions and compulsions involving harm can be a part of harm OCD. They can come in the form of violent mental images. For example, inner voice commands you to act out or fantasizes about what would happen if you were to harm someone or yourself. Examples of harm OCD obsessions include visualizing cutting or hitting yourself or attacking others, thoughts of purposefully jumping or falling from too high places, imagining running people over with your car or jumping into traffic, having thoughts about sexually assaulting or raping someone. Compulsions in harm OCD are there to neutralize the intrusive thoughts. There are typically actions opposite in nature to obsessions because you don't really want to cause anyone harm. You just can't help thinking those thoughts. Examples of harm OCD complications include driving the same route multiple times to ensure you didn't hit anyone, avoiding public places that might trigger an obsession. For example, avoiding subway stations due to thoughts of pushing someone into the trucks. Strict avoidance of situations or objects that could cause harm. For example, throwing away your kitchen knives. If you have a loved one living with this condition, the warning signs may not be obvious, especially in children who may not yet be able to explain or express what they are experiencing. Even though harm OCD involves thoughts and urges that may be violent in nature, the warning signs are not usually outwardly aggressive. It's crucial to understand that people with harm OCD do not want to act on their intrusive thoughts. They are in fact typically horrified by them. Warning signs of harm OCD tend to include spending excessive time seeking reassurance, intensive feelings of guilt and distress over harm-related thoughts, even when they haven't been acted on, engaging in avoidance behaviors such as staying away from loved ones, fear of hurting them, heightened anxiety, especially when exposed to potential triggers like media stories about accidents or violence. Harm OCD is not considered a condition that makes you dangerous to yourself or others. People with harm OCD do not want to cause harm, even though they may have thoughts of that nature. In fact, harm OCD behaviors stem from an intense fear of causing harm. People who suffer from harm OCD are not any greater risk than the general population of harming others. Harm OCD is ego dystonic. which means that the fear you are a threat to yourself or others is triggered biochemically in the brain specifically because it goes against your deeply held beliefs and values. The exact cause of OCD or why OCD can have specific themes is unclear. A combination of factors including genetics, brain structure, and environmental factors might play a role. Exposure to traumatic events or high stress levels may also increase your risk. Harm OCD, like other forms of OCD, may arise from abnormalities in some regions of the brain that regulate fear and anxiety. All themes of OCD are treated based on your individual symptoms and how they affect daily life. To treat harm OCD, your primary doctor or psychiatrist may recommend medications called selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, which can help reduce symptoms by regulating neurotransmitters in the brain. In addition to medications, psychotherapy is the other main treatment option for harm OCD. Exposure and response prevention, a type of cognitive behavioral therapy, is the go-to framework for OCD treatment. It involves structured exposure to situations and experiences related to obsessions. During each session, a psychiatrist, psychologist, or equivalent mental health professional slowly presents you with fearful situations. According to the theory behind the process, by not experiencing negative consequences after facing an obsession, you can retrain your brain to view thoughts as just thoughts, not inevitable outcomes. You can then learn alternative ways to cope with intrusive thoughts that don't rely on ritualistic behaviors. When medications and ERP are not significantly helping, some people may benefit from deep brain stimulation therapies. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe, like, share, and comment.